Hey, what's going on YouTube? It's your boy Dave. We're back at it again with another Gremlin Tactics Arena video. But today, we're running a pretty interesting one. This ended up being a very interesting game. We're actually running some Misfortune. And right off the bat, things start off getting really interesting with me on the MF managing to get Gamba Anvil. You start with 500 gold, so Gamba Anvil gives you 1,000. So the 1,500, it's actually enough for you to be able to just outright buy a legendary item Anvil, which is actually what I end up doing right here. I actually end up picking up a Yumu's Ghostblade right here, and then we just go ahead and we start the round, trying to let people know. So yeah, just off rip, having a Ghostblade round 1 is just insane. So. Right here we get a really good bounce on the Jinx, take off a huge chunk of our health. And from here we kind of have them on the back foot. I tried flashing to try and hit the Jinx with another bounce, but she wasn't quite in the spot. I was able to hit Nasus' one just now though. Yeah, and it was just a bit of an easy clap. You just had to do a little geometry, you know what I mean, to get it done. So right here for our boots, we just go standard attack speed item, nothing special. Just trying to make sure we get some efficiency with all this AD and armor penetration we're getting. Yeah, right here, once we end up getting killed outside circle, we're just like cooked from this point forward. There's not really anything we can do, we're just fried. And then yeah, so we're on Prismatic round right now. On the round where we get our Prismatic. Excuse me. On the round where we get our Prismatic, I actually ended up getting something really good off the bat. I ended up getting Demon King's Crown, so already the game was kind of starting off really well. I'm typically not like... I like Crown but for the stats, but I'm typically actually not a huge fan of it in the majority of my games. Especially when I'm playing with a rando and we don't really have communication. Because, like, of course, naturally, you really need to make sure that you win the round whenever you have Demon King's Crown, or you're going to start losing a bunch of stats from it. But luckily it ended up turning out pretty well this game, so I can't complain too much. You'll have to forgive me if I'm yawning too much. I've just been had a really tiring day at work today after I got off, so. And from this point on, when the Darius dies and I just like cue the Caitlyn for that much HP, it's like, you know, what can you do? DPS battle versus you and me, you know, who wins? Oh yeah, I remember I ended up picking up the Axiom Arc here. Yeah, already my ultimate's doing just like an absolutely insane amount of damage, so if I'm able to get the Axiom Arc and my ult does another 20% on top of that, the idea was just that I just eviscerate anything that's in sight with it pretty much. Yeah, right here, this ended up being like a bit of a cooked round because the Fizz has dashing, if you couldn't tell. So he's just permanently invulnerable this game. He ends up being like really annoying throughout the course of the game just because of the perma invulnerability. Like you literally can't auto attack him more than a single time without him doing another move. Yeah, right here when I got the Don't Blink, I thought that was really helpful because I already have the Yumu's Ghost Blade. Berserker's Rage gives one of the highest amounts of move speed out of all the boots in arenas. And then on top of that, my E kind of like slows their move speed. So if I activate Yumu's and my Flee active, and then I'm able to drop my E on them and drop ultimate, they just get absolutely dunked on. I predicted the Annie dropping the bear. I was able to move to the side and put a dodge on that. And then from this point on, it ends up being a pretty easy round to clean up. Yeah, right there, I had to hit him with the swoop-de-whoop on the ultimate. I already saw it coming. I was inside his dome. I already knew what he was thinking. The guy doesn't wake up without my permission. He doesn't breathe, walk, or auto-attack without my permission either. Right there, he ulted without my express permission, so I let him know that, I was already aware of, what he was up to. He didn't understand then, but he understands now, Yeah, so just so y'all know, for our arena guests, we ended up getting Rel, which ended up being really good because it already had Gamba. So of course, sorry, my eyes watered. So of course, prismatic anvils are normally 4K, right? But whenever you get Gamba anvil, it decreases the price of the prismatic anvils by 1,500. It goes down to being 2,500 for that, and then it's 1,500 for a legendary Gamba. Well, since we got Rel, and Rel reduces the price by another 1,500, I got to the point where it was the exact same price from this point forward for me to get a legendary anvil as it is for me to get a prismatic anvil. So right here, I just start buying just nothing but prismatics. I was able to get both Divine Sunder and sort of the Divine all in one go. It's from how much gold that I had saved up. And at this point, you know what I mean, we start just becoming like prismatic salad. I'm just like outputting so much value, people can't deal with it, so we get to enjoy the effects of that for the rest of this game.
No dallying. Victory is earned by the decisive.
Yeah, the Cinch just gets absolutely one shot. Same with me. You know what I mean? It's a relatable feeling, honestly.
Another chance.
Yeah, it was pretty tragic when the Yon already had ulti the second I got rezzed. Yeah, I figured that would happen. But you know, oh well. You live and you don't learn. You know. Yeah, right here we end up buying another prismatic item. We get Decapitator, and this is where the game starts to get really interesting. Alright, so now I ended up getting the slow and steady for my augment choice right here, which is really huge with the decap. It just means I get a shit ton of raw AD off of my decapitator, so it ends up being very helpful this game. Ends up doing a ton of damage. Kind of swoop the whoop out of there. Yeah, the second I activate my ulti right here, they just get absolutely eviscerated by it. It's actually pretty gross, I'm not even gonna lie to you. My decapitator did 4,075 damage on that one ultimate cast, just because I was running around setting it up, and then also I got the Axiom mark and the Demon King's Crown. Just absolutely disgusting. Also, your ult, I purposefully chose these items because, so when I got the slow and steady, I picked it because I had decap, and I'm getting a bunch of extra AD from the decap that scales my ulti. Axiom mark, even though it's not a prismatic, I still kept it because it also massively scales my ultimate damage by 20%. Demon King's Crown increases every stat I'm getting, including attack speed, so I actually get extra AD from the attack speed towards my slow and steady. And then whenever I'm activating my ult, typically my E is on them, so they're slowed. So Don't Blink is active, and I get a bunch of extra damage off of Don't Blink. And then on top of that, your ult damage itself scales with crit chance. I purposefully got the prismatic that has 50% crit. So like as far as like a somewhat prismatic build goes, it's actually like borderline mathematically correct. You know what I mean? It's actually pretty cool. You know what I mean? I am a big fan of my odd but mathematically correct builds. You know what I mean? So it's right up my alley. Yeah, from here, this is where the Fizz started getting really annoying because it got to the point to where anytime that I ever attempted to be able to damage him, he would like E, I would press a Q on him and then he'd E again. And I'd press another Q on him and then he'd E again. Right here, luckily our Tart ends up clutching this and playing very well, so. Kind of starting to get towards the end game. And then from here, I just end up buying like a lot of stat anvils just so I can get a bunch of extra stuff that's hopefully going to be able to help me maintain my dominance from this point in the lobby. So. Right here, I just get a really good ulti off right at the beginning of the round on the Yo. He didn't even have time to set up an ultimate because he didn't know what hit him. Dude, the decap on MF is just one of the most disgusting champions. Also, we've been winning so many rounds now that we've gotten it back to where our Demon's King Crown is at its starting 26% stats, which is an insane stat increase to have. I mean, look at this. Look at this. 600 AD, 24 ability power now. Like 202 armor and 220 magic, excuse me, 220 armor and 202 magic resist on a squishy with 500 move speed is actually just kind of egregious, you know what I mean? That's what we love about the Gamba Anvil. It is the gift that keeps on giving. Thank you, Gamba. Thank you, Riot Games. And then right here, yeah, I end up picking up the castle, that way if there's any reason where I'm in a rough spot, I can just dip out, or I can use it to be able to set up an ult opportunity. So. You know, right off the start of the round, I tried to get a really nice ultimate on the Blitzcrank, but it didn't quite work out like that. And the second I see that they're on me and they're both melee, I just start prioritizing a flank, really. You And yeah, unfortunately we end up getting quite hyped down by the Fizz. Yeah, he's kind of at that point where he's just more or less invulnerable to everything, so it's getting it's pretty tragic. And then yeah, from here we just grab a bunch more stats basically right up until the last second. But we're just out here grabbing every single stat we can possibly get. This is our stat line, if y'all are wondering. A bunch of extra attack speed, 50% crit. That actually put us at 100. And then a bunch of defensive stats. So. Yeah, the Annie was trying to go for a play on us, but she ended up having a flash. So once I castled out, it actually put me in a really bad spot with the Yoke, and then I ended up getting cooked right here. And then from here, unfortunately, our Tarek is not able to hold the line. Yeah, when he ends up getting the res, I come up, and I'm thinking that I'm going to be able to deal some pretty decent damage, you know, try and get us back in there, but we almost killed the Annie, but the Young right here is just too strong. Yeah, it just ends up evaporating our health bar under the CC. And from this point, you know, I mean, there's no way that the Tarek's going to be able to beat them, so. But yeah, this game was actually really fun. A big fan of the prismatic salad that Riot allowed me to get because of the Rel plus Gamba Anvil technology. If you ever see the Rel pick and Gamba Anvil shows up in your prismatic items, you always take it because you can start buying prismatic items for 1500 gold. You start outscaling everyone in the lobby. Even if you don't end up winning like here, you'll just have so much dominance that it'll at least put you in round 4 just due to the raw stats and, you know, pure power of the effects on the items. But yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed that, man. Very odd MF kind of like route to take as far as what items I could get, but I liked it. It was a lot of fun. Anyways, like and share and subscribe to the video, man. Peace. It really helps out the channel. And I will see y'all in the next video. Later.